This caught us all quite off guard since we had seen no one out there all day and it was now pitch dark. Hardly a good time for tourists to be wandering along down the trail through the jungle. Besides, we were all just drunk enough to be slightly out of touch with reality and certainly didn't want to deal with anything unexpected. And come to think of it, we weren't exactly sure if it was allowed to camp overnight here to begin with. The disembodied voices got louder as they wandered in our direction, no doubt heading towards the light of our campfire. And then 2 short, thin, unencumbered Indian men wandered into our cave and began speaking to us in an earnest tone, although still, of course, completely unintelligible to us. We were at a total loss as what to do. Although they didn't come across as hostile or even unfriendly, they clearly had something of import to convey to us. Fortunately, Yossi, one of the Israelis that I was with, knew a smidgen of Hindi, the predominant language of northern India, but not the local language of this area, and had learned just a handful of words in the local tongue of Kannada. He tried his best to communicate in some fashion with them. Finally, Yossi thought he'd grasped a few familiar words that made it apparent what it was they were trying to get across to us. There were tigers in the surrounding jungle, and it wasn't safe to sleep there for the night. Perhaps this cave was even one of the tigers' preferred nighttime prowling spots. Damn it all! Though we had avoided the aforementioned anthill, apparently we had fallen into the tiger's den. Once we determined that this was indeed the gist of what the 2 men had come to tell us, we said thank you and namaste, and made it known that we had understood their warning and would heed it. They left our homely cave dwelling and continued on their way, their voices trailing off in the blackness of the jungle. Yossi, Nadav, and I all looked at each other in exasperation. Well, guys, so what do we do now? I asked my Israeli friends. Fucking shit, man, said Yossi. Look, our delicious food is almost done. We are enjoying our wine, and now we have tigers coming to eat us. I don't know. What do you think, Nadav? What should we do? There's no more bus going back to town this evening. We have nowhere to sleep but in this crazy jungle. I know that isn't even vaguely an Israeli accent, but it's some sort of accent. We were all undoubtedly perplexed and annoyed. You know, I have an idea, said Nadav. We listened attentively. I think that we should climb up on top of this big boulder over our heads and eat our dinner up there. So what about when it's time to sleep, said Yossi. Well, we will sleep there too. We can carry everything to the top of the boulder, and then no tigers can find us. Fucking tigers, said Yossi. Since we had no idea if Nadav's idea was possible, we got off our half-drunk asses and started looking around for ways to climb up the side of the massive boulder. Though it was a little sketchy, especially in the dark and given our level of slight intoxication, eventually we did find what seemed like a feasible route up the rock, making use of the other boulders holding up the larger one. Nadav was eventually able to climb his way up to stand triumphantly 20 or more feet above us. Then he yelled down, Yeah, man, it looks good. It's a little rough going up, you know, but it's mostly flat up here, and I think there is room for us to sleep. You think? I yelled back. Yes, it is good, no problem. We will be quite comfortable. There are big grooves in the rock for sleeping, so no rolling off. And no tigers will be coming up here, even with our smelly stew. And we have the light of the stars over our heads. With that, we started carrying our scattered belongings to the top of the boulder. We stuffed our backpacks and carried them to the top. Then we started bringing up the dirty pots and pans, chapatis, and what was left of the bottle of wine. Lastly, we had to get our full pot of hot stew up there. I stood at the bottom of the rock and handed the pot up to Yossi, who then climbed partway and handed it off to Nadav at the top of the rock. In a matter of 15 or 20 minutes, all of our things, including ourselves, were atop the enormous boulder that had previously been our ceiling. Though we no longer had our campfire, which we had put out, at least we now had the stars overhead to observe. We continued passing around the bottle of wine as we finally, hungrily, started in on the warm stew and chapatis. So, Brother Gabriel, said Yossi as he took a sip of wine, you think the world is going to go crazy tonight? You believe all these things about the computers crashing from this bug and disrupting our civilization, or something of this nature? Man, you know, I really don't know what to think, I said. It seems like just about anything could happen, from what I've heard. Maybe it will be just a blip, or maybe it will be total chaos. But I figure humans survived for thousands of years before computers, and so we'll survive one way or another, no matter what happens. It sounds like it could be a real mess. But shit, I don't know. Maybe it's all just more media hype. Maybe they really did fix things. Or maybe it never was a problem in the first place, just a scheme for computer programmers to make a pile of money. Either way, I guess we'll be finding out for sure when we get back into town in a few days, eh? Yeah, no shit, said Yossi. I hope it messes things up a little, though. I think humanity needs a fucking wake-up call. Humans are fucking idiots. Yeah, I said, I have to agree. Humans do need some serious waking up. Things have gotten way out of hand on this planet. We need to make a major change somehow, before it's too late. But if it doesn't come tonight, then I guess it'll probably come some other time. The natural order seems to prevail one way or another. It's definitely a strange time we live in, though. when people are afraid of a computer glitch bringing down Western civilization. No fucking shit, said Yossi. A couple of hours later, the stew and wine long polished off, we were lying back on the rock on top of our sleeping bags, watching the stars and enjoying our full bellies in a nice buzz. Nadav looked at his watch at one point and announced to us, "Guess what, you guys? It's midnight. It is now the year 2000. Welcome to the third millennium." "Yeehaw," I said lackadaisically. "Shit, man, that's fucking crazy," said Yossi. "Yeah," I agreed. "Weird. I wonder what's going on across the planet right now. Could be a completely different world that we're going back to. Total anarchy and mayhem, modern civilization lying in ruins, the end of the world as we know it. How would we even know, way out here in the jungle?" A couple of minutes later, a satellite arced slowly across the night sky. Its little red light blinked on and off as it cruised steadily along, same as they always do. I took that as an answer to my question, that the modern world was probably still humming along much as usual. I wasn't really sure if I was happy or sad that the new millennium would likely be continuing just as the old one had ended. But at least I knew that I could still catch my return flight back home. I must admit, without modern technology, it would have been one hell of a long hitch.